loud. Okay, we're starting. 1, 2, 3.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Unlocking Opportunities with WACIF, the Washington Area Community Investment Fund. I see there's quite a few of you here. We're excited to have you. This is a monthly webinar that we're sharing WACIF tools and resources and to help you learn how to connect with our programs throughout the year. We host these workshops on the first Wednesday of the month, and we'll be providing updates during these meetings as we roll out new programming. So I think we can get started. Yeah. Hannah, maybe I can hand things over to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah. I am the small business credit underwriter at WACIF. Started close to a year ago now, and have been in this nonprofit CDFI world for a few years. And I essentially do analysis on the small business loans. So when people apply for a loan, once we have all the documentation, it goes to me to work on and to meet with credit committee and try to get approved. So if you end up applying or perhaps in the process, I have looked at your application and probably spoken with you as well.
Thank you, Hannah. And I'll introduce myself. My name is Maricela Rodella. I'm the program director for WACIF's Office of Women's Initiatives. I work within WACIF's programs team and lead programming tailored to support women entrepreneurs in the DC metro region. You will see me on a lot of webinars, hosting and co-hosting in-person events, and just providing support at trainings. But I also do one-on-one coaching. We'll talk a little bit more about all of that later on. So if you could go to the next slide, Dina. We want to start by giving you a roadmap for today's presentation. First, we'll start with a presentation sharing more about WACIF as an organization and how we support small business growth in the DC metro region. Next, I'll hand things over to Hannah to provide an overview about our lending products and how they can support your small business growth. Next, I'll share an overview on WACIF's, nope, not yet. I'll share an overview on WACIF's programming and support services, giving you some more in-depth detail about our trainings, our events, the coaching programs that we have to help you launch, scale, and grow your businesses. And then finally, we'll wrap up by sharing ways that you can connect with the WACIF team and get started working with us. We'll also carve out some time for questions at the end of the session, but please feel free to add your questions into the chat during the presentation so you don't forget them. And we will be sure to answer all questions at the end. We'll have plenty of time. Next slide. So WACIF supports entrepreneurs in the DC metro region by breaking common barriers experienced by founders. We provide access to financial capital, knowledge and resources, and create a support network for entrepreneurs to scale and grow your businesses. And we hear from our clients that many times you feel alone in your journey. We're here to tell you that you're not. WACIF is here for you. We meet your business where you are, and we provide you with the tools and the resources that you need to advance and grow. And we do this with a very mission-driven focus. So if you could go to the next slide. I'll share more on our mission. WACIF's work is mission-driven, as I said, and for the past 39 years, we're almost 40, which is kind of unbelievable. Our mission has been to increase economic opportunity in communities in the DC metro region by investing knowledge, social and financial capital to low and moderate income entrepreneurs. We ensure that every entrepreneur that meets with us has the resources they need to reach their dreams. Our vision is really to create inclusive spaces that support innovation and collaboration, enabling founders like you to drive change, generate jobs, and advance regional prosperity for the community. This is actually a slide featuring our CEO, Shannon Herbert. Next slide. WACIF's work is driven not only by our mission, but also by our shared values as an organization. We wanted to share a little bit more about our values because I think it helps you get a better sense of who we are as an organization. So our goal really is to make a lasting impact in our community and for you to see us as part of your support system. The WACIF team is very proud of our impact. We not only have on our clients' lives, but also the community as a whole. Impact is the value that drives most of our work, and meaningful and measurable change is important to how we operate and is a primary goal for everything that we do. We work to create this lasting change and impact by empowering our community and clients with the resources and tools that you need to succeed in today's ever-changing market. And what we've seen in the past couple of years is, and even, in COVID, that this is the constant, right? It's a constant change. So empowerment is very key. Community is also a powerful and important way that we reach and support each one of you. It's important to us that we're working with our community partners to connect you to all the resources that you need. WACIF has many of the resources, but if we don't, we have the partners in the ecosystem that do have these resources, and we can connect you to them. Additionally, we want you to truly see us as part of your community because, again, you're not alone. WACIF is here for you, and we're here to provide you with the support that you need. Also, integrity. Integrity is an important part of how we operate and show up. And especially as a lender, you'll hear from Hannah about the ins and outs of that process. And so what we really need is for you to really trust us when you're working with us. So for us, integrity is very, very pivotal. And it really is important in how you interact with us, but how, because you're sharing your personal information, your successes. Many times you're sharing your challenges with us. And so we want to be sure that you trust us and that we show up with integrity every time. And then finally, last but not least, is innovation. Innovation is key for WACIF. We encourage not only our team internally, but our clients to embrace new ideas and strategies to meet the community needs, to stay relevant in challenging times, and to build resilience in response to the state of the world. Because again, like I said, change is the only constant. Next slide, please. So again, please save any questions until the end and feel free to put them in the chat so you don't forget them. But I'm going to hand the mic over to Hannah so she can discuss WACIF's lending resources and programs.
Great. Thank you, Mari. So I'm going to go over our different loan products. And we ask for the same documentation for the most part for all of these. Really, documentation varies by size of the loan, what type of business you have, or sometimes some other factors that pop up as we look at documentation. But to go over our different types, we have our basic term loan. So that is our default loan. And it can be anywhere from $10,000 to $250,000. And that can be to support operations, purchase inventory, can be used as working capital. Perhaps there's an expansion happening with your business, or sometimes it can be used to cover as a bridge loan to cover a period of time between when you start making expenditures towards a project or an expansion and when you actually get paid. Looking at our more specific products, we have the Green Growth Fund, and this has been pretty popular lately. This is for businesses focusing on sustainability, advancing clean energy or sustainable practices. And the exciting part of this grant is that, not that sustainability is not exciting, but it includes a reward grant feature upon repayment, and that is 15% of the grant amount. So that can also be used, the grant, throughout the life of the loan if there happens to be a problem with making payments, maybe some unforeseen circumstance happened, there is an event. Of course, in an ideal world, we don't have to worry about that, but we recognize that these things do happen. So that is there as a safeguard. We also have the Resilient Growth Fund. This one is a little bit similar in that it also has a grant aspect. But this one is specifically for entrepreneurs who might not be able to get a larger loan, or they don't necessarily need one. Perhaps they're newer, trying to build credit. Maybe you have something on your credit report that doesn't look as good. which we don't have minimum scores, and we've seen all sorts of reports. So I want to be very clear that does not, don't think, oh my goodness, my credit looks like this, I can't apply, because that's not the case at all. This is a fund that just specifically helps to encourage people to apply who might otherwise think that they wouldn't have a chance. And these loans are up to $45,000, and there's a $5,000 grant associated. And similarly to the Green Growth Fund, that can also be used if necessary to help with a payment or two if there happens to be an issue during the life of the loan. And then finally, we have the SBA microloan. And we actually have a few different products for this, but essentially they're the same across the board. They're all up to $50,000. And that is the max there. And those are used similarly to term loans, sometimes similarly to resilient growth funds as well, helping businesses that need smaller loans and might not be able to do a larger one, looking specifically for a certain type of interest rate. And that can be a really good option for a lot of people. And one thing, in case you're wondering, well, can I combine products? Unfortunately, no, that is not a feature that we're able to do right now, but possibly sometime in the future. And I also want to clarify for the Green Growth Fund that the max loan amount for that specific fund is $75,000. And then I did see a question pop up here. Oh yeah, but we're doing those at the end, right? The ones that come up in the chat. Okay. All right, so moving to the loan application and underwriting process. To start with, you will fill out a loan inquiry form. This will help determine if you're eligible. So some of the basic things that we need to see are just your location. So are you within our service area? Because if not, unfortunately, you're not a business that we can serve, but we can always direct you to another organization. Have you made at least $50,000 in revenue the prior year? And we are also looking for some what tax returns are filed, and just need to make sure that you don't fall within a certain type of business. Mainly if you are involved in illegal activity, that's one. Seems a little bit common sense, but I'll put it out there. Certain industries having to do with drugs. We have a list on our website, but we don't really see that very often, not usually something that people have to worry about. So once that is determined that you're actually eligible, then we start to look at some of that other information and see what your loan looks like. Is this something we can move forward with? Should we have you work with somebody to maybe strengthen a part of your application or get a piece of documentation you don't have? At this stage, we also do an initial credit check if we determine that you should fill out the full application. So once you are moved towards that stage to fill out the application, we also collect documentation. And we are looking for business financial statements. So we have a profit and loss, business balance sheets. We are looking for tax returns, also a personal financial statement, just to understand what your personal cash flow is with expenses coming in and out, and also your income for that. Business bank statements. This is especially important for projects that have or for applications that have project-based loans. And so this could mean a construction company. It could even mean potentially a catering company that has lots of contracts that they work with. And we'd want to see those. We want to see how exactly are you generating your money? Do you have an expectation of what your cash flow is going to look like over that next few months, next year? And also business insurance. Those are the basic ones. There's some other documents that are needed as well. And I'll include, send to Dina to include a list of that documentation so you can have a full understanding. But those are items that we need from everyone, with the exception of the project costs. Invoices might not be applicable to every single person. So then we have data verification and risk assessment. This is where I come in once all the documents have been submitted. And I do financial analysis, collateral review, if applicable, guarantor review. All of our loans, we take personal guarantees as well. And we're looking at debt service coverage too, which is what do your expenses look like compared to your income? And we look at that for the business. And we also combine your business and personal cash flow to see what that looks like. And that's called a global debt service coverage ratio. So once the analysis is done, then this goes to review. I will create a credit memo, a summary essentially, that I will bring to the lending team, to credit committee, and possibly to loan and asset committee, depending on the size of the loan. And for loan and asset, that's for loans that are 100,000 and over. So that process does tend to take a little bit longer, which makes sense because we're talking about more money. So to reemphasize, we have for loans that are 50K and under, those are actually approved by lending, director of credit and risk. For between 50 and 100K, that's approved by lending and also the credit committee. And then for over 100, it's lending team, credit committee, and loan and asset. So once the loan is approved, then we start working closing documents. We have an offer letter, we have term and conditions, we have our bundled closing documents, which include business loan agreement, promissory note, security agreement, et cetera. And that can take up to 4 weeks. It's on a case-by-case basis, 4 weeks between starting the closing process and actually receiving funds. And for rates, they really vary a lot. We get asked, what are your rates? But it depends on the product. It depends on the overall picture of the loan. What I mean by that is we have a risk rating analysis that we perform. And so depending on what kind of risk your loan brings, it might go down, it might go up. And so it can vary by more than seven points. So that's why we don't like to give a number, just because we really don't know until we look at your information. And we do loans that are between 12 months and 6 years. So we do try to find the best fit for you that's actually realistic for you to pay for, because our ultimate goal is to help clients, whether that means providing a loan, sending to programs to work on a certain area, maybe generating different financial statements. And we don't want to do a loan term that is going to be harmful, that's going to be hard to pay off. So we're always looking at the numbers, talking with clients to see what makes the most sense when it comes to loan term and see how we can make that work best for you. When it comes to collateral, we understand that not everyone has collateral, and that can be a challenge when it comes to traditional banking. And so we do like to evaluate your application as a whole, taking a holistic approach that can look at alternative forms of collateral if available. As I mentioned before, we do require personal guarantees. So sometimes if a business doesn't have collateral, there might be some on the personal side of things. We have been looking at collateral a little bit more recently just to see what people might be able to offer, because we're getting an influx of applications. The economy is a little bit tough, but in saying that, I want to emphasize that this is not something that is prohibitive. So don't let that stop you from inquiring, from applying. I just say that because if you have something that maybe you need documentation for, that might be something that we ask for through the process. So we do, as I said, we do try to look at what could an alternative be if they don't have, some large equipment or machinery. So we get as creative as we can there. And ultimately, we are here to help you. One thing that I like to emphasize is, as we're going through questions, which I schedule initial calls when we begin to do analysis after we've gathered documentation, I like to emphasize that the questions can be tough, but they are being asked to better prepare your application for credit committee for approval. Because our goal within lending is to get ahead of as many questions as we can, anticipate what might be asked, what might be pointed out. And in order to do that, we like to dig into different areas, because one of the big differences between us and a traditional bank is a traditional bank is going to look at the numbers and they're going to think yes or no. I mean, there's slightly more nuance to that, but essentially they're looking at the bottom line And if it doesn't match their parameters, then they're going to say, okay, next. But with us, we have the advantage of looking at everything, taking that holistic approach. Okay, maybe they have a credit score that is in this range. Maybe they filed for bankruptcy. What happened? Um, Maybe they were in the hospital for several months. There was some sort of family emergency. And so we dig more into these areas because it allows us to have more perspective and be able to look at the big picture of, okay, maybe this happened, but there's a reason, or they've really worked on this. So it can be intimidating to share that information, but it is always used to try to strengthen your application. So I like to leave you with that encouragement, talking about the process, because it can be very intimidating to think about or talk about sharing all of these documents and answering personal questions. And I am going to pass this back to Mari. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. So in addition, if you can skip to the next slide. Hannah, did you want to go through these, or did you already?
Oh, yes. Um, yeah, I will go ahead and do that. So, well, I already discussed the CDFI and traditional banks. To emphasize, we like to look at everything, and it can sometimes take a little bit more time. It really depends on the bank, but that might be because we're just trying to see how we can make it work and looking some additional information. So we discussed before a little bit who's eligible to apply for a business loan, and that would be businesses that are located in DC, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, Arlington, City of Alexandria, Fairfax, or Fairfax County, or City of Fairfax. So must have been in business for a minimum of 1 year with business revenue at or above 50,000 the prior year. And we went over some documents as well, but we have tax returns and personal financial statements, profit and loss and balance sheet, business statements, all the basic organizational documents. So we have articles of incorporation, we have licenses. Perhaps you're a daycare business and that requires some additional licensure. So whatever is relevant to your particular business, that's what we'll need to see. The process typically takes 6 to 8 weeks. Really, it depends on the application. Depends on the amount requested, how complex the application is. If it's a business that has multiple streams of revenue and contracts and lots of employees, that can take a little bit longer. And the timeline begins when all required documents have been submitted. And interest rates vary greatly. It's again part of why we don't have them online. We just don't want to set expectations for a specific number when that might shift. So we do loans between 10 and 250,000. The terms can go up to 6 years, and we're always trying to find a rate that is going to work for you, because we really do not want to give a loan term that is going to be very hard for you, for the business. And I already touched on collateral. So yeah, just really one of the main things I would want people to draw from this is, don't let any one part of this or multiple parts of this scare you away because you heard, oh, well, I might need collateral, or I should have this, or maybe I should figure this out first. It's always worth reaching out, maybe talking with a programs team first and seeing if it seems like you would be eligible, and then trying to move forward with the process, because we can always direct you somewhere else if it doesn't end up working out. But we don't want people to feel like they are not going to have a chance to get a loan, that they just shouldn't even try because of a specific factor, something you have going on. And it's always helpful to hear additional context. So I encourage people before we meet, if you have any supplemental information that wasn't asked about on the application, then you can send that to me ahead of time. And I did have recently, somebody sent me a write-up for talking about some items on their credit report, and it was really helpful context to have. I will, leave you with that. Thank you.
That's great. And I think it's so helpful for folks to hear from you, Hannah, because you are the underwriter, right? Like you are the person that helps people move through this process, and for them to get your specific perspective through this presentation is very helpful. Um, Oh, good. We have a note just saying that this is inspiring. So I'm really happy to hear that. Um, and so in addition to the lending products that WACIF offers, we also have a lot of programming like this workshop throughout the year to meet entrepreneurs where you are and provide educational opportunities on a variety of topics. So we provide programming through these different mechanisms, one-on-one advisory support and coaching programs to provide personalized guidance to meet your business like specific needs. This all depends on your need, and we can support you with a variety of issues, whether it's lending or business support to help you address any specific challenges you might have. We also provide workshops and webinars to connect you with content experts on innovative and relevant topics in the ever-evolving business ecosystem. And we're constantly asking for feedback. We've got our eye on what's happening in the community. So everything that we do is working to meet our clients and our community where you are and what's happening in the ecosystem. And then we also provide cohort-based programs, which are very, very exciting. And we have a few that we'll be talking about in a little bit, such as our Ascend Acceleration Program and our Wealth and Wellness Financial Transformation Programs. These programs create a rich environment for learning and building your network of local experts and peers. All programs are offered free or at a low cost. Next slide, please. WACIF also hosts signature initiatives that support the needs of our business community. These are currently some of our primary initiatives. I'll go into some detail about them. We implement these programs both as WACIF, but sometimes we look to collaborate with other partners in the community. So I'll share a little bit about that. So Certified Up is our signature program designed to connect business owners with information on the various different types of business certifications in the region and nationally, and empower them with to apply and use these certifications as part of a broader business strategy. We host certification-specific workshops with our certifying partners and monthly group and one-on-one advisory support through this program. So if you were to go to our events page, you'll be able to see some of those opportunities coming up. The Ascend Capital Accelerator Program is WACIF's award-winning cohort-based business development program. Applications for this are actually, for this summer's cohort will be opening on Monday, May 11th. So if you're interested in applying, please sign up for our upcoming information session. This information session will share lots of information about the program, answer any questions you have on eligibility, what the program looks like, timeline, what your commitment will be. That info session is scheduled for May 21st at noon, and Dina will add the link to the chat for ease of access so you can sign up if you're interested. As I said, WACIF also maintains initiatives in collaboration with partners from the community. The Sustainable DC Project is a collaboration with our partners at the Coalition. Through this program, we provide education for entrepreneurs interested in sustainability and green entrepreneurship. The program features workshops and access to one-on-one coaching to develop strategy that considers and leverages the environmental, social, and governance impacts of your business. We also have implemented the new Pivot Project, a collaboration with the Latino Economic Development Center. This program was developed to provide support for former feds looking to transition into entrepreneurship. So again, look to our events page or the website for each of these programs for upcoming opportunities and access to one-on-one coaching sessions. Next slide. Additionally to our programs and initiatives, WACIF also hosts business centers that provide ample growth opportunities for our founders. WACIF's flagship center, the Anacostia Art Center in Ward 8, it's on Marionberry Avenue near the corner of MLK. I'm sure many of you have seen it, is currently under renovation. It is the creative hub for artists, entrepreneurs, and makers and the greater community. We also host the Hive, WACIF's co-working space for entrepreneurs at the Anacostia Art Center. We provide affordable workspace, access to WACIF resources, and a built-in community there. Since it is currently undergoing renovations, most of the Hive businesses are housed at our WACIF's office on Rhode Island for the moment. But once we reopen, it will be an amazing space and certainly an opportunity to really have a state-of-the-art co-working space. So check it out if you're interested. And finally, WACIF's Office of Women's Initiatives provides tailored support for women entrepreneurs in the DMV region. This virtual center creates a support network for women entrepreneurs, providing access to the resources and needs for business success. In 2024, we also became the host of DC Small Business Administration's or the Small Business Administration's DC Women's Business Center, called the Capital Region Women's Business Center. Further expanding WACIF's reach and ability to support entrepreneurs. Through this new program, we are empowered to provide deeper coaching to support business owners and in DC, and especially those businesses that are in early planning phase for their businesses. Traditionally, WACIF has not had resources to support businesses in the planning phase, so this is a very awesome opportunity for us to grow and support the community further. Check out the Capital Region Women's Business Center page for details on coaching and workshops. It is an awesome new resource that you should absolutely take advantage of. Next slide. WACIF also hosts a variety of dynamic programs and community building events throughout the year. In March this year, we hosted our State of the Ecosystem and Cultivate Summit. Both events seek to connect businesses in the WACIF ecosystem with experts and resources from the region and even beyond. Even we had some folks come in nationally. This year's events were combined to create a platform to support businesses with innovative workshops and panels ranging from entrepreneurship center programs, such as accelerators and incubation programs, to a certification boot camp, walking clients through information on the different certifications, how to leverage them, and connecting people directly with those certification partners. And then AI innovations that drive success. We actually had someone come in and do a workshop on vibe coding. If you don't know what vibe coding is, check it out. It is absolutely a game changer for entrepreneurs. We also host our, and those two are annual, all three of these are actually annual events. We also host our annual Fusion Festival at the Anacostia Arts Center, combining an opportunity for creative and arts community to convene and share ideas and innovations. Next slide. WACIF is proud of our impact when we hope to support you on your journey. Here are some examples of the impact that we've had on a few of our clients. Not only do we provide support, we also provide a community for you to grow and seek support when things are difficult. We are here for you, and we're excited that you joined us today to learn more about our organization. So if you're ready to get started, next slide. Here are 3 ways to connect with WACIF, whether you want to apply for a loan, which is that middle slide, or if you're interested in completing a client intake form to access support through our Capital Region Women's Business Center or one of our other centers, you can fill out that first, complete the client intake form. Or if you're just interested in learning about our upcoming events, you can visit our events page to find out more about the workshops that we're providing. And we will be sharing, we will be recording this, so this presentation will be available on our YouTube channel where you can revisit these links. Next slide, please. And additionally, here's how you can connect with us. Please follow us on Facebook or X or LinkedIn or Instagram. We also have a YouTube channel where we provide a lot of these recordings. We've got some fantastic workshops in there. And then finally, we just want to be sure that we're collecting feedback. We will jump into Q&A, but I want to be sure that you guys have the opportunity to provide feedback on today's webinar. Dina will put the link to our post-event survey in the chat, so if you could please complete that. That lets us know your thoughts on this event, and then also gives you an opportunity to share the types of programming that you'd like to see from us, because that is very important. So with that, I'll open up the floor to questions. So I guess the first question
Yes.
was, what
Do you want me to read out the questions
Sure,
for you?
that'd be
Okay,
great, Dina. Thank you.
perfect. So the first question we got was from Yasser, and they say, what types of business do you fund? Is it any type of business?
So it's probably easiest to read out the official list we have of businesses that we do not fund. So that would be lobbying or political focused businesses, speculative businesses, if they are focused on high risk investments, business that teaches, counsels, or indoctrinates religious beliefs, business that prevents live performances of a sexual nature or derives more than 5% of gross revenue through sales and products of that service, gambling or casino, business in the lending or loan packaging industry, life insurance business, tanning salon, cannabis focused, pawn shop, astrology focused or palm reading, and business involved in illegal activity. We also do not work with nonprofits, but we are working on some referrals there if we do have nonprofits that reach out to us.
Okay. We also have a question also from Yasser. They say, do you provide funding for new businesses? I assume startups, I believe.
Yeah, we do not, because you have to be in business for a year, for at least a year, and have the prior year revenue of at least $50,000. The one sort of exception is if somebody is buying a business that has been operating for a while, potentially, not always, but potentially depending on the circumstances, that could be considered a business that has already been established. But yeah, for new businesses, we have other organizations that you can be directed to.
Okay, question from Rhonda, can we have access to the PowerPoint, to the presentation? We do not give access to the PowerPoint. However, just like Marcella said earlier, we will have this recorded and we will post it on YouTube. So you will be able to refer back to the YouTube, to the recording if you needed to go through the PowerPoint, but we do not send out the presentation. The next question, how can I volunteer at WACIF? Yasser, I can shoot out an email to you and explain everything. We have 3 questions from Jacqueline. I can't see the full name, but I think it's Jacqueline. It says, do you all have any grant programs not in conjunction with loans? That's question 1. If you want to answer that first, and then I'll read the rest.
Yeah, we do not, at least connected to.
Hannah?
It looks like Hannah froze.
Just, yeah.
But I can go ahead and jump in. So at the moment, we do not have any grants, not associated with loans. Sometimes we will have some grant money for our Ascend programming, but that is not always the case. The Ascend graduates for the past couple years have received a small grant, but like I said, that's not always the case. But other than that, we do not have any loans at the moment. But that does change. WACIF, as I mentioned earlier, is constantly innovating and creating new opportunities. So just keep track of these meetings, because there may be an opportunity. And if we have grants, we will announce them through not only our listserv, but also probably and very likely through these webinars, these monthly webinars.
And then the second question from Jacqueline is, do you sponsor events in the community that support visibility, support, and education for entrepreneurs?
Yes, we do. Actually, as part of our Office of Women's Initiative, we have an event called In Their Element that is about visibility and creating support networks and helping small businesses meet other peers in the community. And that is just one event that is actually, Dina, could you put that in the chat, the link to that? Um, it's
Yes, I'm gonna put all the links at the end. I just don't want to put
awesome.
them now because the questions are coming in, so they're
Sure.
going to get lost.
Got it.
And I
Um,
will send a follow-up email with every single link to anything that we discussed today.
Fantastic. But yes, we do host events. It asks if you sponsor events. It depends on I'm just now understanding your question there. We do sometimes, but we are a nonprofit, so we don't have the resources to do that in a way that that for-profit businesses do. We don't have that kind of funding. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. And the last question from Jacqueline is, do all businesses need insurance for loans?
We do need to see business insurance, yes. And depending on the type of business, if there's going to be construction done as a result of the loan, like renovations in a restaurant, sometimes we need to see contractor license and insurance for whoever will be doing the renovation. But at base, yes, we do need to see business insurance.
Okay. And we have a question from Robin. Do you have a loan program pipeline for established healthcare businesses that need operating capital mainly for payroll?
We do not. That's a great question. And I was actually talking with a doctor recently who was saying that that was tough to find when she was starting her business. And so it's a little bit of an aside, but in an area that I and perhaps we're interested in exploring more, to address the payroll specifically, that is something that we've helped with sometimes. It can be we tend to need a little bit more documentation in certain areas, essentially because if we're going to be providing support for payroll, presumably it means there's a cash shortage at that time. So we would need to know, what caused the cash shortage, when will that no longer be an issue? Essentially, how are you going to continue making those repayments? And will that be a recurring thing that you'll need to cover payroll? So when it's not tied, when the loan isn't tied directly to something that will increase revenue, like expanding a restaurant. Now we have more tables. Then it can require a little bit more conversation, but that's certainly something that we can look at.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. The last question we have is from Kimberly, and it says, do you have referral resources? Sorry, do you have referral sources to help answer business that don't yet have 50K in revenue that are seeking access to capital?
Yeah, all for lending, we essentially refer to programs. We have some direct contacts, but we definitely do have those connections, if not within our team outside of it. So I'll let Mari talk about that a little bit more.
Sure. There are many partners in the community that lend at different with different expectations and eligibility. So we do have referral partners that we can introduce you to that, will lend to folks in different phases of their business that are, have different levels of revenue. We do have those partners. It would just depend on your individual, who you are individually, what you're looking for. So we'd have to have a conversation, but those partners exist and we're happy to introduce you.
That was the last question. If there are any more questions, please put them in the chat. But yeah, this was the last one so far.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. And please respond to that survey.
Yeah, I'm going to put them in the link now, so just don't end yet.
Put the survey first so that people can jump right in. And it is helpful to us to get a better sense of how helpful this session is to you. But also, as I mentioned, give us some ideas for the types of content that you would like to see. Your thoughts and experience is very helpful for us. We appreciate your time.
Yes, sorry, I was actually typing a response to a follow-up on the one, but I'll just answer here before saying goodbye from Robin on the healthcare reimbursements being tied to 30 to 60-day net payments. That makes complete sense. And that, yeah, that's definitely something we can still talk about. We would still want to discuss long-term a little bit more, is the plan to have enough cash on hand 2 years down the line where that's not going to be an issue as much. But that, yeah, that's a very real struggle for new businesses. So absolutely is a conversation that we could have, talk more about that. But thank you so much, everyone. Please reach out with any questions, and we are very excited to hear from and hopefully work with some of you moving forward.
Absolutely. And don't miss out on those links in the chat, although I think Dina will also be following up with them as well. Thank you, Robin. Yes,
Yes.
Sierra. Oh, we had a good number of participants.
Yes, we did.
Can we stop the recording?